Thank you all for taking the time to join us this morning. My name is Pauline McGralis and I'm going to be taking you through our webinar session this morning, where we, the Nvolve Group, are going to show you how with our technology we're able to help you embrace the whole paperless quality management and risk management function and really turn your production sites and factory sites into a completely paperless environment in terms of your whole your risk management, your compliance management, and all your compliance areas. So, as I mentioned, my name is Pauline. I'm going to take you through the session this morning. We're just going to, for hopefully the next half an hour to 45 minutes, let's give you a little bit of a rundown on the Nvolve Group, who we are. This is our agenda for this morning. We're going to look at a little bit at the traditional process that, let's say, a lot of production sites are now and plants are using to help them to manage the whole compliance and risk within their organization. And we're going to look at some of the key drivers, the impacts of doing nothing there in the Nvolve Group, how we can help you turn your production plant into a paperless factory and help you move on there. We'll have a wee bit of time for questions later on as well, so towards the end of the session. So just for anyone who hasn't actually used the GoToWebinar control panel, up on your right hand side you'll actually see that there's a couple of little areas there. One with the questions. If you drill down into that, you'll be able to pop a question into the little box there if you want to ask questions as we go along. And I have also supplied a copy of the slides that I'm using today for your reference as well. So just a little bit to touch on the Nvolve Group, who we are. We've been around now for about 12 years, and we have been helping pretty much our customers to help them remove and reduce the paperwork from their day-to-day operations, and as well as that to actually really help them to push down the whole cost of compliance and reduce the compliance risk in terms of your whole workload and having visibility of the exposures that you have in your areas of risks within your production plants itself. So yeah, we pretty much have a focus on the manufacturing industry with a specific focus in the food industry. So that's something as we show the technology today, you'll see that actually moving forward. So essentially what we do is we provide software or technology solutions that we have a few off-the-shelf products that really help you to manage that whole compliance and risk within your site, as we talked about. But also we offer the ability to tailor solutions specifically for yourselves. So if there's other areas that you would like systems in place for, then we can add to our platforms as necessary. So what we have also been helping our clients to do is to also I suppose deliver a demonstrable cost-benefit analysis to help you in your case to move towards paper and showing you a as I say, a demonstrable return on the investment that you would put into your technology itself, or what our customers have actually put into the technology. So the Nvolve Group, just to touch on the off-the-shelf products here, we have a few different products. Our Group Learner product, it's essentially your learning management system that helps you go paperless in terms of your training and your documentation sign-off, your technical documentation sign-off. Modern Auditor, again replacing the paper within the auditing function, whether it be you're managing your audit schedules, you're conducting your audits, you're managing, creating corrective actions and progressing them through to fix essentially. We also have our Group Learner, our Policy Governor module that actually helps for your desk-based employees. So to make sure that they are actually compliant in terms of, whether it be your anti-fraud policies, your health and safety policies, data protection, etc. Then we have, paperless function for that as well. We also have a set of courseware. This is predefined courseware that has all been certified by the CIEH. And this is ready-to-go courses, training courses in the whole aspects of food safety and health and safety, whether it be your HACCP, managing HACCP, supervising food safety, manual handling, slips, trips and falls, etc. We have a large array of courses there that are ready to go, ready to run from our platform. And you can also run these courses, you know, in an e-learning environment, or again in a group classroom-based environment with the help of our Respond Point technology there. The Respond Point technology is really our interactive keypad solution. We very much offer a blended learning approach in terms of our training. So Respond Point technology for all those training courses that or induction courses that you have already created in PowerPoint. We integrate with PowerPoint and allow you to actually to insert question slides into any PowerPoint presentation that you have, and the questions then in a group environment or in a classroom environment are actually answered via the use of a keypad, a little bit like the TV quiz show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, if you've ever watched it. Then the trainees provide their answers through a keypad, and all the results in that are then uploaded onto your platform account itself. So very much that blended learning in terms of our learning management and the group learner platform itself. But we also have our BRC Manager solution, which is our, you know, essentially provides you the tools for your BRC or for any BRC certified clients, and essentially will allow you to process and manage your whole BRC self-assessments and the likes of vulnerability assessments and that as well. So that's a little bit about our products and our suite of solutions, our products within our solutions itself. Just to touch a little bit on our customers, some of them will be recognizable to yourselves, maybe some not. A lot of them are you know, UK-based, Irish-based customers, but more recently, you know, we have taken on our first client in Fontana, actually, being Sundown Foods there with fresh produce. But yeah, so we have you know, single site operations, we have multi-site operations. Moy Park there, one of the largest poultry providers within Europe itself. So you know, again, you know, the platform is scalable really to every size of organization, whether you are smaller or indeed like a group operation itself. So I wanted to take a wee bit of a look today at the typical process, I suppose, the typical process or the traditional process that a lot of people use today in terms of building that whole culture of food safety or safety within our organization. So, you know, typically what that is used or how that is actually managed is with the use of spreadsheets and paper. So we have essentially our training process really incorporates or is made up of you know, a set of documentation that is printed out and taken to our production staff, our production line staff. They read through the documentation, they sign it off manually. You store that away in the signed off copies away in maybe their training record, their folder, paper copies of training folders, and then what we do is we go back on, you know, onto a training matrix, and we update the relevant information to reflect what each employee has actually done. But of course, you know, this takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort to do so, as you guys already know. But again, in the auditing process, you know, a very similar process where we have our auditing schedule, where we have a list of all the audits down the side, and then the months or the weeks that we have them, you know, the regularity of the audits and how often they're done. We then have our, you know, our actual audits where we have the assessments or the checklists that we typically walk around the factory floor with a clipboard and a pen, and we're ticking off and we're making notes as we go along, really. So, and then what we do is we create the corrective actions, and again, that might be by another form which is handed on to another area of the plant itself for picking up of the corrective actions operations, whether that be your maintenance team or your cleaning team, etc., then that all gets passed on. Somebody else manages that process, and they will probably have another spreadsheet where they manage all of the incoming work and the workload that they have. So we're very much driven by paperwork and spreadsheets in the whole manufacturing industry today. We see very similar process when managing our supplier requirements, so our supplier documentations that you need to actually have in place for your accreditations and that as well. So again, that that requirement that we need to provide the evidence that we are actually working with reputable organizations and suppliers, that again, from a traceability perspective, that we actually know that yes, okay, they have their BRC, they have their HACCP plans, etc., etc. So yes, again, we have the documentation. What we end up doing is managing this documentation requirement or the supplier requirements on a spreadsheet. We get the we have to chase the a lot of the time the information from the suppliers, sometimes not to get it, but again, we're going to show you ways that we can remove this whole paper process and automate that on your behalf back to the suppliers itself. So of course, what with the traditional systems, the paper and the spreadsheet process, comes a lot of challenges that you guys tell us about on a day-to-day basis as we are talking to you. But we all know the amount of workload that surrounds the whole paperwork and the documentation sign-off from a training and an auditing perspective. People talk to us a lot about the time that they actually take to transfer information about what has just happened on the plant or the factory floor, what training that we've done, what corrective actions and that we've done, and then we go back into a multitude of spreadsheets and update the relevant information according to what the activity has been. So again, that can take a lot of time and a lot of workload to actually process that information and pass it on, and also to store and record it as evidence when our auditors are on site as well. A lot of people talk to us, about their compliance. Well, say their compliance rates when we ask them the question about how compliant you believe that your site actually is in terms of what you need to deliver against any of your accreditations or that. They really don't have an idea. They think that they're doing okay because they're following through the process, but when you actually have something to measure it against, then having the ability to have full visibility to your compliance levels on a day-to-day basis, then you're able to see that clearly through the use of our technology and our solutions itself. I talked a wee bit there about the work involved with chasing supplier documentation and that. Again, people tell us and they talk to us about the amount of time that does take to actually chase the suppliers and the documents. Well, again, we're going to show you how we can automate that, build it up and automate that process to make it much simpler for yourself, where you're putting the onus on your suppliers to log onto your platform and upload the information, and then you get the automated emails, etc., to let you know that has been done. One of the biggest challenges that people face within the production site itself and manufacturing sites themselves is really the ability to run simple management reports. Now, by that, what I mean is that we're all, I suppose, assessed and audited on a regular basis, whether that be from our customers or indeed like the likes of BRC or food safety standards, etc. So what we need to be able to do is to run simple reports to show what needs to be done on a daily basis. But not only that, is that we need to be able to see where our risk areas are. So where our exposures are in terms of our training. Have we not provided training to a staff member, whereby when an auditor comes looking for evidence that we have trained that staff member, then we're not able to provide that evidence, then again, that can go down as a non-conformance, of which then you have to go back and react to that situation. So what we're able to do within our Platform is to actually give full exposure to our senior management team as to where your risk levels are in terms of the exposures that you have, you know, that can affect any audit as an auditor arrives on site. So, you know, that's one of the key areas that, you know, as you're able to see what needs doing, you're able to, let's say, proactively manage them risks rather than react to them when an auditor does actually arrive on site. So it's really all about living and breathing compliance on a daily basis and building that real strong, robust culture of safety and compliance within your organization, within your plant, where everybody takes responsibility for the whole compliance, for the full site compliance, rather than just the training team, the quality team, or indeed the technical team. So that's really where our platform goes some way in helping our customers do that. People also talk to us about you know, preparing for audits, whether it be customer audits or BRC audits, and again with our platform, you know, you're living and breathing that on a daily basis, rather than, okay, a few weeks before the audit, like running about the factory floor, pulling your hair out, looking for information. Well, again, this is a central single storage of information where you can sit down with your auditor and actually go through, not have to leave your desk essentially, and go through your audit by, you know, and providing the evidence, the paperwork, the, you know, the records through the laptop itself where you need to do that. So yeah, and as we all know, like, you know, we need to be a lot more prepared nowadays for our audits, because, you know, our customers, well, we find in the UK anyway that a lot of our customers are actually pushing us a lot more towards unannounced audits, because they want you to demonstrate that that you are living and breathing compliance on a daily basis, rather than the few weeks before they arrive on site to do your audit. So, you know, this is where they test that compliance and how dedicated that you are to that by pushing you down the unannounced route itself. So how we actually help, as I mentioned, with that them challenges is by way of our paperless factory, the Nvolve Group paperless factory solution, which is essentially made up of a few different modules or products. First of all, our group learner platform that, you know, it's the platform really is a hosted, it's a cloud-based solution that, you know, we have our group learner platform that allows us to manage the whole training compliance. It allows you to be able to let's say, perform electronic sign-off of documentation on tablets and have that full document control. You don't need a separate training matrix. That's all inbuilt within the actual learning management system itself. And again, it allows you to do on-the-spot training, whereby if you can imagine you're in your plant or your factory, whereby a piece of machinery has actually broke down, instead of having to go up into your office and print out a piece of documentation to bring it back down to the employee to train on, by that stage the machinery is up and running again. What you can do is like just pull out the tablet and the document, download the document itself, and then you have the document available for sign-off, electronic sign-off on the spot or on demand training there. So that's essentially the group learner. Our modern auditor platform really is the internal auditing side. It's all about removing that paper, like the group learner product, taking paper away from the factory floor, the plant itself, and pushing out the paperless route. So for all your internal audits, you know, and your customer audits, your BRC self-assessments, you've got access to your auditing schedule, your supplier control, goods inwards inspections, and that as well is all rolled up into our modern auditor platform. And then we have the additional options as well, which essentially is our policy governor, as I talked about earlier, our response point technology, the keypad training system, the blended learning approach, with our courses, with the reviews, the performance reviews and the spot checks, and our BRC certification tools, the complete solution to really allow you to move out to that complete paperless factory really is by way of our complete solution. So that really looks, I suppose, this little slide here explains you know, a little bit more in detail. Yes, you know, switching your factory or your plant to a paperless environment to incorporate all your auditing functions, your training, your learning, your documentation, your document control, making sure that your employees are actually trained on the latest release of the document, and you know, because again, that's one of the big things that people talk to us about, is that you know, people generally tend to print out maybe, you know, 10, 20, 30 copies of a piece of document or a piece of information, whether it be you know, instructions or work instruction or an SOP, and they train in that until the documents run out, and then when the auditor comes on site and looks for the evidence, you find that actually that staff member has been trained on the previous versions, 2 previous versions beforehand, and not the most current up to date. So, you know, that goes down as a non-conformance, which can then affect your grading and that if you don't get that sorted out within the time period that you have to do that. So, you know, and again, running through the suppliers, you know, full supplier control, paperless supplier document management, your policies, paperless policy sign off by your desk bound employees, and also then again your paperless like performance reviews and spot checks and that you need to actually do on your workforce as well. So really that's how the Nvolve Group actually work with you in terms of our complete solution to actually turn your factory into, you know, a complete paperless environment. Now, if there are other areas that you know, we see bubbles there, if there's other areas that again, you know, maybe specific to yourselves that you would like to incorporate into the you know, the complete quality paperless management platform, then again, with our development service, we can bespoke that development and tailor it to your requirements as well. Okay, so we're just going to pop through, first of all, as I mentioned, you know, we're able to work with you to provide a cost-benefit analysis, really, that demonstrates some of the tangible benefits that we have, the reduction in the paper and the printing costs, the increased the trainee productivity. So if your trainee is and your employee is actually getting trained a lot quicker and at much less cost, then you know, you're able to actually increase the productivity there as well, and also increase the trainer productivity. But you know, we have other tangible benefits that sometimes you can't actually put a cost on, really, if you're looking at the compliance culture, if you're looking at your whole improved quality within the plant itself, the reduction in your non-conformances, your brand protection, etc. You know, sometimes you know, it's hard to actually put a figure on these, which is you know, sort of we deem a lot of this stuff as being priceless, really, because you know, your brand reputation, for example, if that's affected, then you know, you can start to lose you know, supplier contracts and things like that as well. If your quality is not good, again, you can you know, you're reducing, or you know, you're reducing your supply contracts, and you know, actually you know, incurring more non-conformances and stuff like that as well. So yeah, we work with you to obviously be able to give you a demonstrable return on the investment, or the cost-benefit analysis there as well. Okay, so I'm going to pop into the actual platform now. We're going to have a wee look at how we are helping then organizations and a lot of our customers there. I'm just going to log on here for a second, so if you just bear with me a wee minute. Okay, just going to pop on here to my demo account. So everyone gets access, you know, a login from a management perspective. If they are doing training in that, you'd need a license to actually run the system itself. So what we have here is going across the top, and I'm just going to pull out a lot of the main key areas here. Going across the top, we have our tabs going across that house information about them specific areas. We set up our directories, which is the information about our employees and our suppliers within the platform itself. And then what we can do is we can build the documentation and that around both our suppliers, so what our requirements are from that supplier, and also we can build our training plans around the employees itself. So we actually assign the documents, the training documents, also training courses, etc., your policies and that as well, into the employee training record, and then the delivery mechanism can actually be through the tablet or indeed the keypad solution, or indeed like through e-learning itself. So first of all, we'll just pop into document management or the document manager side. This is where we set up all our documents, and I'm just going to take you through this very quickly. So we've got our live documents, or archive documents, or documents pending approval before they go live. So we'll just have a wee look at the live documents here. We look at the actual groups. We've got various different groups here. So if I just want to see all my work instructions, then I can have a wee look there at all my work instructions. If I look at the cleaning workstation, the cleaning instruction there, then I can pop in and take a wee further look at the information that lies behind this. What we do is we set up the document group. We then pop the document into a document group, and then what we can do is we can assign the employees to an actual work group that we then assign the document to that work group. So you know, essentially what this allows us to do is to assign many documents at the, you know, essentially one click of a button, rather than having to manually enter these in individually. So what we have here is the detail of the document. So the document title, we have the revision of the document and when it was created. We have the average training period here. So when you are let's say delivering the training on a tablet, we define the average training period here for this document. However, you have the ability to change that to the actual training time that the document had taken that employee to read and to sign off and complete. We give the document a grace period, and this is where we, you know, essentially it's a reasonable amount of time that we are expecting that that employee to have completed this level or this area of training or procedure. You know, that's really if I join the company on the one day, then in one day I don't expect that I would have all my training completed on the one day. So this is just that reasonable amount of time that you give your employees to complete that training. The document owner, we can assign a document owner, how long the document is valid for, that training document is valid for, and how long it is, sorry, the review period that we need to review it in. The document status, in this case it's a live document. I want to look at the supporting file, so this is where I attach the actual document that then becomes available for me to have access to on the tablet and get the sign off without the need for any Wi-Fi connection. So what we do is we actually download the document onto the tablet, and we store it there for a period of 24 hours. There's lots of solutions that rely on Wi-Fi connection, but we're very aware that that not all factory plants do actually have Wi-Fi throughout the whole of the plant itself. So we take it down to the tablet, and then you upload it when you're back into an online environment or a Wi-Fi environment. So this is the document, as I mentioned. We can then, if we want to, assign the employees individually, if we want to. But here is where we assign the work group. So this is where we set up the work group and we assign the employee to the work group, so that when I add the document to that work group, then every employee within that work group is automatically given that document within, or that training procedure within their training record itself. I can also assign training packs. Now this is where we may have as standard the requirements for the likes of you know, basic food safety training, health and safety training, fire awareness, or the fire warden, etc., manual handling as a base set of training. Every employee within my plant needs to do this, so I can set up a training pack and then again assign the training pack to the work group. which then automatically gets distributed to every employee within that work group. Here we have the approval management. We can just assign the approvers, and also here we can see previous revisions excuse me, of the document itself. Now, I haven't got any previous revisions here. If I was actually up revising or let's say creating a new version of that document itself, then all I need to do is to actually up revise the document, saying that this document is already up revised in pending status. So if I just go into my pending documents, I will be able to find that there, and I can approve that particular document itself. So if I look at my pending approval, then I can actually look, there's my cleaning workstation, so I can go in and approve that if I have the rights to actually approve that. From here, I'm just going to pop it into a live document and save that. Okay, so this is where we can ensure that your staff are actually being trained in the latest version of the documentation itself. Just to pop into our Learning Manager, sorry, I should have said again, within the Document Manager, like, I mean, we do have all the different groups of documents, you know, whether it be your SOPs, your supplier documents, you know, your work instructions, etc., etc. So that is all housed within there. So our Learning Management side, this really, I suppose the front screen, or the dashboard as we call it here, what it allows us to do is to have that snapshot of what's actually going on within my environment. So what we're running at here in the first image here is the Learning Manager compliance meter. So this is really telling us, according to all our training plans, and the documents that needs to be signed off by the staff, how well we're performing against you know, the requirements within that. So I'm not doing so well here, you know, but please do take on board that that this is just demo information rather than a real live environment itself. But yeah, so what we have here is we have training type. We can look at our top non-compliance courses. I talked a wee bit earlier about having constant visibility as to where your risks and your potential exposures are. So this is what we, you know, the area that you know, that we can view these risks and exposures. So we can look and we can see, okay, there's the CIH Introduction to Food Safety there. I've got 64 episodes of that training due for different staff members. Also the glass breakage checklist there, there's 61 episodes of that due, and so on and so forth. Of course, we can build up our external training where we need to send you know, people off site for training. We can set them up within the platform as well. But if I just look at let's say the Respond Point course here, what I can actually see here is not just the episodes, but who has completed, who hasn't completed. In this case, no one has completed this particular piece of training here. So this is really a key area for us. If we're due an audit like in a few weeks' time, we're able to see what training that we need to actually carry out before that. If I look at maybe this glass breakage document, just actually let me try and find one that has a wee bit of other information in it, but we can see, yeah, the splitting of the chart here, who's completed it, who hasn't completed it, and as I say, it does break down into showing who has done the courses and who hasn't, what the scores have actually been, etc. as well. So we can see there that Randa Kantan had actually completed the course, but he only got 30%, so it's not a pass mark, so he has to do it again. Okay, so that is essentially the compliance in terms of your non-compliance in terms of your training, should I say. Here we have it broken down by the let's say the top non-conforming managers, in terms of me taking responsibility for maybe a production line. This could be your managers or your team leaders or your supervisors who actually deliver the training to the production staff. Then we can see here you know, who them people are and the training episodes that they have outstanding as well. We can look at the expiry details on the courses, so you know, any courses that are actually due for refreshment refresher training, we can see the amount that has been of employee handbooks. There's 9 people there whose training has expired, or sign-off has expired, the external course, etc., etc. So, you know, what's expired, what's coming up within 30, 60, and 90 days there as well. So that helps you with your planning there also. Just want to very quickly take a look at the employee training plans. What we do here, I talked about setting up your training plans. This is a list of all my employees within my demo database here. I set the employee up and what I can do, and again, in larger environments, as we all know, like, you know, sometimes if there's hundreds of people, you know, we know what the name is, but we don't often be able to see where these people are or what they look like to go up and do the training, you know, if we have a training team. So we give you the ability there to attach a photograph, you know, for ease of finding the staff. Here we can actually see the training that William, on this case, has in his training plan, the type of training, the course name, the status of the course, whether he's completed it or not, when it was completed, the expiry date, and we can also view, you know, information that lies behind this. So if I look at, let's say, one of these courses here that has been the group learner courses that has been completed, this is our ready-to-go courses that you know, you can purchase from ourselves and run directly from the platform, again in a group environment through classroom-based training with the use of the keypads, with the tablets, and I'll show you how that works after a wee while, and also through e-learning. So this tells me a little bit about the program or the course name, when it was completed on, the pass rate, and the score that William actually had there, the questions that were part of the assessment that William had taken, what the correct answers were, and what answers that William did provide, and whether the answers were right or wrong. And we can also view the certificate there. I'm just going to load this very quickly for visibility, really. Okay, so that shows the certificate. So the employee gets the certificate, and again, you know, this allows you to demonstrate back to your auditors that the training has been completed, and there's the certified training to prove it. So yes, we talked about also setting up the users or the employees into a work group. So this is where we do that. We, you know, and some individuals may belong to multiple work groups, and we also assign the managers or the team leaders or the supervisors that actually take responsibility for their training. So that's the training side. I just want to touch on the reporting. We've got multiple reports that we run here. I'm just going to take you into one of my favorite reports, and that's the manager matrix report, the summary report. I'm going to just download the actually, I've picked out the wrong one, I beg your pardon. The manager matrix report. Now, I picked this report because it allows me as a manager to actually get to a lot of information, you know, relating to my team and my environment and my procedures. So I've picked Barry Harper here for an example. We can see the total amount of plans that Barry has assigned to him to, you know, complete on behalf of the organisation and with his team. The number of courses that fall into the grace period there, what has not been completed, what has been completed, and your expired count there. Okay, so if I look at the report, I'm just going to pop this up a second. And this is where we have one of two things happening here. Where I'm just going to tell you one of two things. We have a list of all our employees down the side. We have all the training courses and procedures that we need to make sure that our trainers, our staff have actually completed. So if I go across to the right-hand side, what I can actually see here is, you know, again, what the employees have completed, what they haven't completed. This is essentially our inbuilt training matrix. But more importantly, so if I go right across to the right-hand side, it tells me how compliant that each of our individuals are there. So we can see, okay, Barry Jones is going to be a huge risk to me if an auditor arrives on site and asks me for one of his training records because he hasn't done anything. So again, proactively managing the the people and proactively managing the procedures or the training that we need to happen. Here we can see the shift startup. No one has actually completed that that level of training as well. So and so on and so forth. As I say, my data, my information is demo information, so it's not a real live environment here. So but that's fine. It gives you the gist of the reporting levels that we do actually have. I'm just going to quickly pop into our Audit Manager the same way that we build up all of our training. We also build up all our internal audits. We build up our schedule. We can view our corrective actions, the supplier control. If I just take you quickly into the supplier control, this is where we set up our documents. So the document required from our suppliers, and what we actually look at there, we can see this is all the documents that I need from the supplier. The supplier status. So this means that the supplier has uploaded this document. As far as they're concerned, it's still opened on our site because we need to verify that. We haven't actually verified that that document has been acceptable by yourself. So we've got like a secondary stage sign off and verification process there. So what we can do, if I look at this, I'm just hoping that I've got a document attached here. So yeah, we can just download the document and see the document attached to that particular record. So yeah, you manage that, you set it up. When you actually assign a document to a supplier, what happens is that the supplier gets an automatic email to say that you have requested this piece of information from them. Please can you add it to the record. They log in at no cost to yourselves, and they upload the document, and then you get the email back to say that that document has actually been uploaded. And then you need to verify and sign that off and complete that in its status itself. So again, removing that whole need for the paperwork and pushing the paperwork. When an auditor arrives on site, again, you can get access to that document, the information that the supplier has uploaded. The Audit Manager here, again, in the same way, we've got our BRC self-assessments, our vulnerability assessments, and also our Audit Manager reports that we have there. But I'll just take you back to the dashboard. Gives us again a bird's eye view of what is actually happening within our plant in terms of our risks and our corrective actions that are outstanding according to the risk profile. We look at our audits there, the pest control and that, when the last audit was actually taken and how many of the audits that we have actually done, and again the outstanding corrective actions. So again, a lot of information that we have there. I'm just going to very quickly, because I'm very conscious of time, I'm just going to pop through to the presentation again. I can't demonstrate the actual tablet apps live in this environment over the broadband, so I've taken a few screenshots to show you how this actually works. So essentially, this is your electronic copy of our tablet and the app there. So you can see you've got access to your Audit Manager, Learning Manager, and the different areas there, Document Manager, Performance Manager. In the Learning Management side, I can view the training plans, my reports, my training courses. This is the list of employees. So I'm a manager logging on here on my tablet. I want to train someone, so I pick an employee. I can see, okay, I may have a production line down at the minute. I can actually see who's the most compliant, who's not. So what I'm going to do is, again, and it's building that culture, of always increasing our compliance levels and pushing down the risks. So yes, I am going to pick an employee there. I've picked Stephen Allen as the employee. I can see all the courses that he's done, what he hasn't done, etc., when they've been completed, what revision of the documents, etc., etc. So here is what I've done is I've asked Stephen to read a document, which is in behind the supporting documents there. He has signed off the document, and the manager also signs off the document as well. So that's a technical document or a work instruction or an SOP. This is just an example of how our courses kind of look. So yeah, the format. So it's all visual. hearing as well. So you know, there's a voiceover there as well on our courses, but that can be launched directly from the tablet app as well. And this is our audit, so we can go in and we can look at our audits, our templates, our schedule, corrective actions, and BRC self-assessment. This is our audit schedule, so we can see at a glance what has been completed, what has started, what's underway, etc., and what the audit templates are, when they were scheduled for, when they were completed, and the corrective action count there that is coming from each of the audits itself. This is the internal audits template, so we give you the ability to actually just essentially build up your template. So that is your statements and your questions that you're auditing yourself against on a regular basis. And we can see the statement count within each of the audits, but this is essentially how it looks. So when you're auditing yourself against a statement, so this is the health and safety audit here. We have the ability to say if we are compliant, not compliant, or if it's non-applicable. If it's not compliant, or you know, if you want to actually add evidence of how you are compliant, you can take a photograph. If you're not compliant, you put in your your corrective action details. You can assign the corrective action there and then to any member you know, of your team or your supplier. You assign it a risk profile, and that will then pop into the supplier's record, and also, you know, any other member of the team. Your corrective actions, this is a little bit of detail here in this one. We can see that the bulb was out on the reception lights here. The corrective action is open. We have the ability to put in the root cause analysis there and to close it off, and this is exactly what I have done here. So here we can see the before and after shots, giving evidence of the root cause analysis and the fact that we have actually resolved that issue or that corrective action. And then we have also the BRC self-assessments that are already preloaded in our BRC Manager solution, already preloaded for you to run on a daily basis. And again, that runs in the exact same. We keep the format of that consistent. I just want to share with you guys as well, this is some of our reporting. On a monthly basis, we very much work with you, you know, to help you to increase your levels of compliance. So what we do is, as part of the service that we provide to you, we send these reports to you free of charge. That really, you know, gives you that detailed report about where your exposures are. This is in terms of your training, you know, your top non-conforming managers there, non-compliance, you know, and the number of procedures that they have to train on, etc. So again, it's getting access to that information that you can do something about it. And this is from the technical and the quality, the risk analysis here, so the outstanding corrective actions by risk profile. And again, the monthly corrective actions by status. So we can see there all the audits and the corrective actions that have come from each of the audits itself. Guys, I know that I have sort of run through that very, very quickly. Just concerned about the time. I do have a few questions here, and what we can do. I have at the end of the session, there will just be a little pop-up box that will ask you about next steps or any questions of that you might have. I can't get to all the questions right now just from a timing perspective, but if you have any questions, you know, pop them into that. So we would appreciate just your feedback on that if you don't mind. But Brent, you are asking about the time to implement something like this, platform like this. We very much work with you, Brent, to you know, to essentially get your information into our platform. So the spreadsheets that you currently have with the likes of all your employees, your training matrix, etc., you know, we work with you to build that in. So you know, you're pretty much ready to get up and running, you know, within a couple of weeks, really. So you know, we've had people up and running within days of you know, getting the information to us. So very simple process that, you know, we very much take you know, a hands-on approach and work with you to get that built for you. Sarah, you're asking about pricing. Well, pricing really does depend on, you know, as I talked to you a bit about the different products that we have within our complete solution, pricing really does depend on, your area of interest, you know, the area that you would want to use, or indeed if it's the full solution, and how many employees and users that you have there. So for anybody that's interested in that, then, you know, pop pop your details in, and, you know, your question around that in the questions at the end of it. But yeah, I'm sorry guys, I have actually run over a little bit here, so I'm very aware that it's morning time for you guys, and you know, you'll be keen to get all started on the production floor. So you know, what we will do is to round it off here, and yeah, for the next steps, as I say, when I close this down, you'll get that wee pop-up box. Appreciate your feedback on that, and yeah, all that's left for me to say is just thanks very much for joining us this morning. I hope you found the session useful. You know, if you do think that it is something of interest, you know, let us know, and we can get in touch with you and pick it up from there. All right, well, thanks guys. Take care now. Bye. Have a good day. Bye-bye.